One way to understand the job of storytelling is arranging events to create a place for revelation. A revelation in a story is not just a bit of news or a plot turn, it's a moment of insight and emotional power. This is actually one of the main reasons we have art, because it's not easy in our lives to break through the everyday and let ourselves truly see or feel. But that kind of experience doesn't just happen. That's the tricky thing about art. You have to use form and technique to be spiritual or emotional. So let's get into the nuts and bolts and talk about how you build a work toward revelation. First of all, a revelation is not just a slogan, explanation, or lesson. It may be something that you can pull out and quote, but it can't just be dropped in, disconnected and standing by itself. A revelation is an insight or vision regarding an essential and powerful question or idea in the story. Even if the revelation is something as simple as people need a little entertainment, which is the revelation of Sullivan's travels, it should be an emotional, meaningful moment in the story. Now, in any story, there can actually be a bunch of moments like that. But while there may be several revelations in a story, usually one is most important. And usually it comes towards the end. The most important revelation usually comes toward the end of a story. In theory, you could start with the revelation and then spend the rest of the time exploring the impact and the complexities, but it's hard to keep a structure like that from feeling like it's just winding down. This is actually a really important difference between storytelling and what they teach you about writing in school, where you're supposed to clearly state your thesis right at the beginning. In a story, you have to save the big stuff for the end, which is a whole different way of thinking, because you have to learn how to make it really interesting at the start, but then develop and change and build to a whole new level at the end. So when you think of telling a story, remember that it's not just unfolding from something, though it does have to do that, it's also building to something. Because of this, thinking in terms of revelations actually helps you prioritize the elements of your story, because you have to organize them around getting to that intensity. Revelation should be set up, prepared for, built into the structure. You do that by making the revelation a question or a goal for the characters, or by setting up a problem to which the revelation is the solution, or by giving someone an opposing vision to create a tension. So as you work on your script, don't just think of the story as this happens and then this happens. Ask yourself, what is the revelation of this story? Why is it important to the characters? How do we see it? And that last one is a really helpful question. How exactly does the audience get this revelation? How does this vision, this idea, come to them in a scene, in a moment, in an action? If it's spoken, who says it, and why, and how? If it's visual, what image or act embodies or expresses it? Someone in the story has to see it, or say it, or do it. You need to construct their entire character arc to put them in the position to have the need and the ability to see it, or say it, or do it, or be it. Character and revelation are woven together. They need each other to really work. And also ask yourself, is this a revelation for the character, or just for the audience? Either one can work. Some very powerful stories give us insight into a character that the character themselves cannot see. But then you have to think about, if the character is not getting the revelation, how does the audience get it? How do we see it? What is the moment, the act? Now, when you put all this work into building to a revelation, it's really tempting to slow that moment down, to explore it in detail, to really talk it all out. But it's usually best to be very simple. It often only needs to be a simple sentence, an image, a gesture. The challenge is making that powerful, clear, somewhat unexpected, and graceful. Actually, the whole point of spending so much time and effort building to it is so that you can keep it really simple and the audience can get it like that. And this may be a controversial take, but I personally believe it's okay to make a revelation somewhat unrealistic. Maybe the moment is a little too lucky, or the way that someone expresses something is a little too poetic, or it references something legendary or mythical or spiritual. I think even in the most realistic stories, we don't mind a bit of magic. But I should point out, sometimes the revelation isn't a scene or a moment at all. Sometimes your revelation, your vision, is the choice to focus your whole story on exploring a time or a place or an experience or a group. Even if it has a traditional plot or genre, the goal of the project is to get inside, to explore a community, a group, a time, a place. And finally, here at the end, as my own kind of revelation, after all this talk about mechanics, I want to stop and look at the content of revelations. I believe if your revelation is just what you think will sell or what fits a formula, it's going to feel hollow and be quickly forgotten. The most important thing about a revelation is that you feel it's the truth. Ideally, a revelation will tell us something we never knew, or describe something we have felt or thought, but never really stopped to honor or understand. Or remind us of some truth that has become worn, commonplace, forgotten, and give it renewed power. It could be a small truth, it could be a common everyday truth, it could be a private truth. Just make it something you believe in. Keep it real. All right, that's it. Go write something. If you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Leave me comments, ask me questions in the comment section of this video, or go to writingforscreens.com. The everyday and act. That's what it is. Blah. But it's hard to feel. It's hard to feel, which is a whole different way of thinking. To put them in the build to it is so it that can and give it renewed truth. No power, you idiot.